Yeah. So during the last class, okay, during the last class we were discussing about the what about the gauges, where we are discussing about the pneumatic gauging and precision gauging. I hope so you remember. And also we had a slight overview of the flatness and squareness also. So here we were discussing about the pneumatic gauging, precision gauging. Then we also had a regarding inspection of automatic gauging for inspection. Okay, it is mainly gaugings are mainly of inspection tool. So we have completed all this and we have wind up the topic yesterday. Hope so you remember. Right, Rahul?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today we are going to start with the topic of optical measuring instruments. Okay. Last time it was like gauging measuring instruments. Now we are going to start with the topic named as optical measuring instruments. So please everyone note down the heading in your notebook. Since you come to the college, you have to submit your notebook. Okay. So with respect to the optical measurements, okay, it is mainly today we are discussing about the optical measuring instruments. That's optical measurements instruments. So what is the type, what is the purpose, then what is the requirement, then what are the various types of optical measuring instrument, all this we will be discussing. So optical means mainly it is a light. Okay, so to an extent in this case of measurements, it is always a light. So in the case of optical measuring instruments, okay, mainly in the case of optical measuring instruments, here the light beam is used as the amplifying. Okay, here in this case what happens is the light beam is used as the amplifying lever, and the light beam is more suitable for measurement due to straightness and weightless. That's what it is mainly due to straightness and weightless. Light beam is mainly used for what for the use for the amplifying the lever. So it is mainly used for amplifying the lever. That's what we say in the main case of optical measurement. So okay, so that's what it's happening. So it is an accepted that the light waves provides the best standard for light. It is always universally accepted, as you know, the light waves provide the best standard. Okay, the best standard for the technique. So what we can say is the first phase it is this in this kind of instruments, mainly in the case of optical measuring instruments, mainly in this kind of instruments, the light beam is used as the amplifying lever. In this case, the light beam is used as the amplifying lever, and the light beam is more suitable for the measurement due to the straightness and weightness. Okay, so light beam is more suitable for measurement due to the straightness and weightness. That's what happened in this introduction. So, this introduction. Today, it is an accepted fact that the lightweights provide the best standards for length. The lightweights always provide the best standards for length. Okay, light waves always provide the best standards for length. Then, the significance of light waves as the length standard was explored by Albert A. Michelson. Okay, so here what happens is like in the case of optical measuring instruments, we have a light beam which is used as amplifying lemur, and light beam is more suitable for measuring the due to straightness and weightless. That's what happens. So and it's also proven fact that the main significance of light waves as the length standard was first explored. Okay, and it is accepted that the fact that light waves provide the best standard for length. Okay, so with respect to the optical measuring instruments, okay, it provides a simple, easy, accurate, and reliable means of carrying out inspection and measurement in the industry. It is mainly a very simple and easy to carry out and an almost accurate precision and reliable to an extent means of carrying of inspection and measurement in the industry. That's what happens. Okay, measurement in the industry. Then, although an autocollimator is important optical instrument that is used for measuring small angles, okay, it is always the autocollimator. But in the topic we are just today, we are just describing about the various optical instruments which are required for the purpose and the requirements. So, in general, okay, in general, please note it down. In general, an optical instrument should have the following essential features. Okay, in general, mainly the optical instrument should have the following essential features. It will be always having a light source, then it will be having a it will be condensing. Okay, it will be condensing. It will be condensing or collimating lens systems to direct light past the work part into the three optical systems. So always a condensing or collimating lens system to direct length. Okay, so a condensing or collimating lens system to direct light past the work part into the optical system. Okay, that's what happens. Then a suitable stage or table to position the work part. Then the table preferably having the provision for movement in two directions, and possibly rotation about a vertical axis. This is what happens. So in this case, what happens is, okay, a suitable stage or table, a suitable stage or table to position the work part. Okay, here we have a suitable stage or a table to position the work part, where the table preferably having provision for the movement of two directions and possibly rotation by a vertical axis. Then the projection optics comprising the lens and mirrors, a viewing screen on eyepiece to receive the projected image, then measuring recording devices whenever required. So these are the major factors we consider in the case of a general optical instrument. Rahul, did you write this?
Yes, sir.
So the first one was a what? The following essential features. The first one was what? A,
Light source.
yes. Yeah, first one was a light source. Everyone, please note it down. First one was a light source. Okay. So in the case of every optical measurement or interferometry, okay, whatever may be optical measuring instruments, we will be having a basic instrument. So the first case it will be a first one is a light source. Okay. Then the second one is a condensing or collimating lens. Please note it down. A condensing or collimating lens. Okay, a condensing or collimating lens. All these parts will be described in the three types. But I'll just the previously I just noted down a condensing and a collimating lens system to direct a condensing and a collimating lens system to direct light past the work part, to direct light past the work part and into the optical system, to direct light past the work part and into the optical system. The third one is suitable stage or table. Third one is a suitable stage or table to position the work part. A suitable stage or table, a suitable stage or table to position the work part. Okay, a suitable stage or table to position the work part. Then the table preferably having provisions for movement in two directions. The table preferably having provisions for movements in two directions and possibly rotation about a vertical axis. This is what happens where we have a suitable stage or a table, where we have a suitable stage or a table to position the work part. Okay, to position the work part, where we have a suitable stage or table to position the work part, where the table preferably having provisions for the movement in two directions, where the table preferably having provisions for the movement in two directions and possibly rotation about a vertical axis. So this is what happens in this case. So here what we have is a suitable, please note it down, a suitable stage or a table to position the work part. Okay, a suitable stage or table to position the work part. Then the fourth one is the projection of optics. Okay, the projection of optics comprising the lens and the mirrors. That's the projection. Since it is an optical measuring instrument, the projection of optics comprising the lens and the mirrors. Okay, the projection of optics comprising the lens and the mirrors. Then the fifth one is a viewing screen or eyepiece to receive the projected image. A viewing screen or eyepiece to receive the projected image. That's what is a viewing screen or eyepiece to receive the projected image. And sixth one is measuring and recording devices whenever required. Sixth one is measuring and recording devices whenever required. These are the major optical instruments essential which should be required for purpose. So now we are going to study about the various types. So mainly it is divided into three types as per the syllabus. So we are going to learn about the three types. So before that, I will have this overview where the optical instrument, it's mainly kinds of instrument where light beam is used for amplifying the lever. It's mainly used for the light beam is used for amplifying the lever. The light beam is more suitable for the measurement due to straightness and weakness, and it is accepted fact that the light waves provides the best standard for length, and the significance of the light waves is more powerful. Then optical measurements are largely employed because of its simple, easy, accurate, and reliable means of carrying out the inspection and measurements in the industry. Okay, and Although an autocollimator is import optical instrument, it is mainly used for measuring the small angles that we will study later. So this is what happens in the case of optical instruments. Now, basically there are three types of optical instruments. Okay, but basically there are mainly three types of optical instruments. Okay, basically mainly there are three types of optical instruments. Okay, in that case the first one is named as vertical optimeters. Okay, vertical optimeters, the first one we name it as vertical optimeters. So this is named as the vertical optimeters. So in the case of vertical optimeters, what happens, you see, okay, the second one was horizontal optimeters, and the third one is tool makers microscope. So this microscope you might have already seen in your biology lab in school or somewhere else. Okay, it's a commonly used instrument for checking the measurements with the help of a microscope, with the help of telescope. That's what. So in this case, the types, what happens is the optical measurements are divided into three types. Okay, mainly the optical measurements are mainly divided into the three types. That's what happens. Optical measurements are mainly divided into the three types, where the first one is the vertical optimeters, the second one is the horizontal optimeters, and the third one is the tool makers microscope. The third one is the tool makers microscope. This is what happens. So in this case, what happens is first one is vertical optimeters. Okay, the first one is vertical optimeters. Okay, so in the case of vertical optimeters, okay, this instrument is mainly designed for external measurements of shafts and plates. So in this case, this instrument is mainly used for the measurement of external measurements. Okay, so this instrument is mainly designed for the external measurements of shafts and plates. Okay, so in this case, this instrument is mainly designed for the external measurement. It is mainly designed for the external measurements of shafts and plates. Then it is also used for verifying the slip gauges and for checking the plug gauges. Okay, this instrument is mainly designed for the external measurement. Okay, this instrument is mainly designed for the external measurements of shafts and plates. Okay, and it is also used for verifying the slip gauges and for checking the plug gauges. That's what happens in the case of a vertical optimeter. So this instrument, okay, this instrument is mainly designed for the external measurement of shafts and plates. So this instrument is mainly designed for the external measurements, mainly designed for external measurements of shafts and plates. Then it is also used for verifying. Okay, it is also used for verifying the slip gauges and for checking the plug gauges. Okay, so mainly what happens is it consists of a, by checking on the figure, you will see, by looking on the figure, you will see it mainly consists of a base, upright, bracket, optimeter, okay, tube, then split clamp, binding screw, optimeter table, upper table, and adjustment nut. So these are the main parts. Okay, in the construction of the case, these are the main parts of a vertical optimeter, which is no, it's a normal optimeter. Okay. So since it is designed for external measurements of shafts and plates, and in very specular cases it may be used for verifying the slip gauges and for the checking the play gauges. So in the construction, what happens is it mainly has a base. Okay, in the lathe also I have told what is the base requirement, everything, so I'll not repeat it here. Base, upright, bracket, optimeter, tube, split clamp, tube, then split clamp, binding screw, optimeter table, upper table, and adjustment nut. These are the main parts which are employed in the case of a vertical optimeter. Now, with respect to the vertical optimeter, what happens is it is upright, mounted rightly in a base. Or in this case, as you can see in the figure which you have drawn in the notebook, like what happens, the upright. Okay, it is mainly upright is mounted rigidly in a base which is made of very heavy and which is made of very heavy and wide, so that it imparts more stability. So automatically what happens, it imparts more stability when compared. So what happens is the upright, here in this case the upright is mounted rigidly in a base. Okay, here in this case the upright is mounted rigidly in a base. Okay, the upright is mounted rigidly in a base, okay, which is made very heavy and wide. The upright is mounted rigidly in a base which is made very heavy and wide, so that it imparts more stability to the instrument. So that what happens, it imparts more stability to the instrument. So here we have the upright is mounted rigidly in a base which is made up of very heavy and wide, so that it imparts more stability to the instrument. So that it imparts more stability to the instrument. Then the upright consists of a ground shaft on which the upright consists of a ground shaft on which a large pitch thread of special form is cut. The upright, mainly what happens is the upright consists of a ground shaft. Here in this case, the upright consists of a ground shaft on which a large pitch thread of special form is cut. So in this case, the upright consists of a ground shaft on which a large pitch thread, okay, a large pitch thread of special form is cut, which provides an easy grip for the bracket. The bracket with the split clamp can be easily moved up and down and adjusted or fixed at any position along the upright. So here we can see the bracket. Okay, so see, I hope so. You're seeing the figure. So here, this is the bracket. See, this is the bracket. So what happens in this is the upright is mounted rigidly in the base. So all the upright is mounted rigidly on this base. Okay, which is made very heavy and wide so that it imparts more stability. Then the upright consists of a ground shaft. Okay, what happens? The upright mainly consists of a ground shaft on which a large pitch thread of special form is cut, which provides an easy grip for the bracket. Okay, a large pitch thread of special form is cut, which provides an easy bracket. Okay, that's what the upright consists of a ground shaft. See, this is the upright. Where's the upright? This figure. Okay, see, this is the upright. So in this figure, this is the upright, where the upright consists of a ground shaft on which a large pitch thread of special form is cut. In this case, a large pitch thread of a special form is cut, which provides an easy grip for the bracket. It always provides an easy grip for the bracket. Okay. Then the bracket with split clamp can be easily moved up and down. This bracket with split clamp can be moved easily up and down. This, okay, can be moved easily up and down in this and adjusted or fixed at any position along the upright, and it can be adjusted, or the bracket can be adjusted or positioned at any position on the upright. That's what happens. Okay, any position on the upright or fixed at any position on the upright by binding the screw. This is the binding screw. I hope so you're seeing, this is the binding screw here. Okay, by binding the screw. Then the bracket can be clamped on the upright at any required position. By binding the screw, the bracket can be clamped on the upright of any required position. Then it can also be raised or lowered by nut making. It can also be raised or lowered by nut making with special thread of the upright. That's what. It can be also be raised or lowered. Okay. It can also be raised or lowered by nut mating. That's what happens. It can be raised or lowered by nut mating with special thread of upright. With a special thread of upright. That's what happens. So this case, what happens is it can also be raised or lowered by nut making with special thread of upright. And the optimeter tube, okay, the optimeter tube, okay, the optimeter tube, like I hope so you're seeing. So I forgot to mention the figure. This is the optimeter. It's here. See, this is the optimeter tube. This is the figure. Okay, this figure, this is the part. This is the optimeter tube. Okay, the optimeter tube is held by the split clamp and screwed in position by the binding screw. Okay, and screwed in position by the binding screw. This is what happens in this case. So in this case, what happens is we have got an optimeter. Okay, so the optimeter tube is held by the split clamp and by split clamp and secured in position by the binding screw. Then the upper table is mounted on the optimeter table. The upper table is mounted on the optimeter table and under the measuring tip of optimeter. That's what. The upper table is mounted on the optimeter table and under the measuring tip of optimeter tube. So the distance between, okay, the distance between the measuring tip and the table can be adjusted. Always the distance between, always the measuring tip and the table can be adjusted. Okay, the distance between the measuring tip and the table can be adjusted. That all clamping screws of the brackets and tables, okay, all clamping screws of the brackets and tables must be firmly tightened before making any measurement. Okay, so all clamps of the brackets, and the tables must be firmly tightened before making any measurements. So this is what happens in the case of a vertical optometer. So by having a comparative method, measurements are made in the optimeter tube, which consists of the measuring tip formed by a measuring spindle. Okay, in this case, we have what a comparative method is used for measurements in the case of a vertical optimeter, where which consists of a measuring tip. Okay, it mainly what happens? It mainly consists of a measuring tip. Mainly also measuring tip. Okay, formed by a measuring spindle at the bottom of which it is secured with a bowl-shaped contact point. At the bottom of which, okay, at the bottom of which it is shaped by a, well, which is secured a bowl-shaped contact point. Then the object is measured is kept at the top of the tilting mirror, and the object to be measured is kept at the top of the tilting mirror. That's what happens in the case of a working, where we have a comparative method where the measurements are made in the optimeter tube. Okay, where we have a comparative method where the measurements are made in the optimeter tube. Okay, and the measurements are made in the optimeter tube, which consists of the measuring tip. Which mainly consists of the measuring tip formed by a measuring spindle. Okay, which mainly consists of a measuring tip formed by a measuring spindle at the bottom of which is secured. At the bottom of which it is secured, a bowl-shaped contact point is also used. Where a bowl-shaped contact point is also used for keeping it. And then an eyepiece. Okay, then what happens is an eyepiece. Okay, an eyepiece. Okay, then we what have it? We have an eyepiece. That's what an eyepiece is used where the eyepiece is placed at right angles to the movement of the tip. Where we have an eyepiece which is placed at right angles at the movement of the tip through which the scale deviations can be observed. So an eyepiece is placed at the right angles to the movement of the tip through which the scale deviations can be observed. Then on a flat circular disc, a glass scale is engraved which is graduated on the side facing triangular prism. Okay, so here what we have is an eyepiece. An eyepiece is placed at right angles at the movement of the tip. Okay, then though which scale deviations can be observed on a flat circular disc. It is mainly a flat circular disc of a glass scale which is engraved and which is graduated on the side facing triangular prism, and which is graduated on the side facing triangular prism. Then the triangular prism reflects the beam of light by 90 degree. Mainly the triangular prism reflects the beam of light by 90 degree. Then what happens is then the beam passes. Okay, then the beam passes through the objective to the tilting mirror. Automatically what happens, then the beam passes through the objective of the tilting mirror and the actual scale can be seen through the eyepiece. So that's what happens where the beam automatically what happens, the beam passes, then the beam passes through the objective, the beam passes through the objective to the tilting mirror, then the beam passes through the objective to the tilting mirror, and the actual scale can be seen through the eyepiece. Where the actual scale, okay, where the actual scale can be seen through the eyepiece. This is what happened with respect to the working of a vertical optimeter. Okay, this is what happens can be seen on the vertical optimeter. Okay, so now the second one is, can anyone of you tell me what is the second one, the name of the second one? Can anyone of you tell me the name of the second one?
Horizontal optimeter.
Horizontal optimeter.
Okay, thank you. So horizontal optimeter. Okay, this is the horizontal optimeter. So in the today we will be discussing mainly about the optical measuring instrument, where we have mainly three types. We have one more type, and it is the most familiar one. That's why I've done it last. That is the tool maker's microscope. Now second one is named as horizontal. Okay, horizontal optimeter. The first one was named as what? Vertical optimeter, and second one is named as horizontal optimeter. Okay, the second one is named as horizontal optimeter. So in the case of horizontal optimeter, what happens is similar to vertical optimeter. Okay, similar to vertical optimeter, the measuring head is same for both the instruments. Okay, similar to the horizontal optimeter is similar to vertical optimeter, where the measuring head is same for both the instruments. I hope so. You are seeing the figure. Okay, this is a very important topic which will be asked in a series. Okay, so the horizontal optimeter is not on the second series because it's the fifth module. Okay, so the horizontal optimeter is similar to the vertical optimeter. So in this case, in the case of vertical optimeter, what happens? Horizontal optimeter, what happens? The horizontal optimeter is similar to the vertical optimeter, where the measuring head is same for both the instruments. Here what happens is the measuring head is same for both the instruments. So here what happened, both the measuring head have the same instruments or carry the same technical know-how for the measuring the instruments. That's what happened. So in the case of a horizontal optimeter, the horizontal optimeter is similar to the vertical optimeter. Okay, the horizontal optimeter is similar to the vertical optimeter, where the measuring head is same for both the instruments. Okay, then due to the following features, it is considered from different optical meter. Like first one is the range of external. Okay, first one is the range of external measurement. The range of external measurement is from 0 to 500 mm. Okay, the first one is the range of external meter is from 0 to 500 mm. Okay, that's what happens from 0 to 500 mm. Then the axis of measuring. Okay, the axis of measuring. That's what the axis of measuring spindle is horizontal. So in the case of horizontal optimeter, the horizontal optimeter is similar to the vertical optimeter, where the measuring head is same for both the instruments, and due to the following features, it is considered different from vertical optimeter. Due to the following features, it is considered different from the vertical optimeter. Then the range of external measurement is from 0 to 500 mm. So in this case, what happens is the range. Okay, the range of external measurement, mainly the range of external measurement is from range from 0 to 500 mm, and the axis of the measuring spindle is horizontal. In this case, what happens is the axis. Okay, the axis of the measuring spindle is horizontal. Then the internal measurement of the range is between 13 to 180 mm, which can be done with the aid of auxiliary contact arms, which can be done with the aim of auxiliary contact arms. That's what happens. Then the internal measurement range is between 13 to 180 mm. The internal measurement range is between 13 to 180 mm. Okay, the internal measurement range is between 13 to 180 mm. Okay, that's what happened, 13 to 180 mm. Then and can be done with the aid of auxiliary contact arms, and it can be done with the aim of auxiliary contact. That's what happens in the case of an horizontal optimeter. Okay, that's what happens in the case of an horizontal optimeter. Okay, that's what happens mainly in the case of a horizontal optimeter. Okay, so then here what happens is the horizontal optimeter is similar to the vertical optimeter, where the measuring head is same for both the instruments. Then due to the following features, it is considered different from vertical optimeter. Then the range of the external measurement is from 0 to 500 mm, and the axis of measuring spindle is horizontal, where the internal measurement of the range is between 30 into 180 mm, which can be done with the aid of an aux with the aid of an auxiliary contact arms. It can be done with the name of an auxiliary contact arms. That's what happens. Okay, so auxiliary contact arms. Okay, then what happens is it mainly consists of a wide base. As you see, it mainly consists of a wide base and a horizontal bar, two brackets, adjustable anvil, etc. So that's what happens in the case of a horizontal optimeter. It mainly consists of a wide base, a horizontal bar, two brackets, then adjustable angle, etc. And the wide base, okay, the wide base gives support to the horizontal bar, and automatically what happens, the wide base gives support to the horizontal bar, where the two brackets can be moved along the horizontal bar, where the wide base gives the support to the horizontal bar, and the two brackets can be moved along the horizontal bar and can be adjusted to any position to a distance of 500 mm, and it can be adjusted to any position to a size of 500 mm. Then the adjustable anvil is supported on the left hand bracket. Adjustable adjustable anvil is supported on the left hand bracket, and the object to be checked and placed on the rotary table, which can be adjusted in any direction. That's what happens in this case. So the wide base, okay, the wide base, so what happens is it consists of a wide base. Okay, it consists of a wide base. It consists of a wide base, a horizontal bar, two brackets, adjustable anvil, etc. Where the wide base gives the support on the horizontal bar. Normally, what happens is the wide base mainly gives a support on the horizontal bar. The two brackets can be moved along the horizontal bar, where the two brackets can be moved along the horizontal bar and can be adjusted in any position to a distance of 500 mm and can be adjusted to any position at a distance of 500 mm. Then the adjustable anvil is supported on the left hand bracket. Normally the adjustable anvil is supported on the left hand bracket. That's what happened. The adjustable anvil can be supported on the left hand bracket. Then mainly on the left hand bracket. Then the object to be checked is placed on the rotary table, which can be adjusted in any direction. So the object to be checked is placed on the rotary table, which can be checked on it. This is what happens in the case of a horizontal optimeter, where the two brackets can be moved along the horizontal bar and can be adjusted to any position to a distance of 500 mm. So it can be used for measuring a variety of components of the distance of 500 mm. That's the main feature of a horizontal. Rest everything almost it is sharing from the vertical optimeter, which is the processor of the same. So now today we have discussed about the optical optimeter and that various types, which is one is named as a vertical optimeter and second one was the horizontal optimeter. So again, now I have told there are three of them. So this is the final one that's named as a tool maker's microscope. Okay, this will be most feasible for you, or you will be having an idea because since you have seen this. Okay, this is what happens in the case of a this is named as tool maker's microscope. Okay, it's named as tool maker's microscope, where the microscopes, what happens to the microscope? The microscopes are mainly associated with what? Mainly associated with science and medicine. So here what happens? It essentially consists of a base. Okay, what happens? It mainly consists of a base. It essentially consists of a base where the main lighting unit, the upright column with carrying arm and the sighting microscope. So the rigid cast base is steering in the 3-foot screws. Okay, that's what happens. So in this case, in the case of toolmaker's microscope, essentially consists of the base. Okay, the toolmaker's essentially consists of the base where the main lighting unit, where the main lighting unit, the upright column, okay, that upright column with carrying arm and the sighting microscope and the rigid cast base is resting on the 3-foot screws. That's what happens. It's resting on the 3-foot screws. That's what happens. So here what happens, it essentially consists of a base. It mainly essentially consists of a base where the main lighting unit, the upright column with carrying arm and the sighting microscope and the rigid cast base is resting on the 3-foot screws. Okay, and the rigid cast base is resting on the 3-foot screws. Then the workpiece to be mounted is placed in the path of the rays of the lighting equipment. So the workpiece, okay, mainly it is the workpiece. So the workpiece to be measured, the workpiece to be measured is placed in the path of the rays, is placed in the path of the rays of the lighting equipment. Okay, of the lighting equipment, where it produces a shadow image, where it produces a shadow image which is viewed with the microscope eyepiece having a suitable mark for aiming at the next points of the object. In addition to this method, measuring operations are also provided. Okay, in addition to this method, the measuring operations are also provided. So I hope so by seeing the figure you have got an idea of the basic. Okay, this is an eyepiece, optical head. This is a normal microscope. Okay, where we use to measure everything. Okay, where we used to check, where we use more intense here to check everything. For that we are using a normal tool maker's microscope. So here what happens is we have the same applications where it is mainly used. Then okay, then what happens is like by the use of see acceleration method, which can be recommended especially for measurements, then this method permits higher precision than shadow image method for special measuring operations. This is what, and mainly you can see the application. It is the length measurement, Cartesian polar coordinates, angle measurements of tools, okay, thread tool, punches, gauges, templates, etc. That thread measurements, that is profile projector, major minor diameter, height of the lead screw, thread angle, profile position with respect to the thread axis and shape of the thread, rounding, flatness, straightness of the flank. Then also the comparison between the center and drawn patterns and drawing of the projected profiles. All these are the various applications which we are employed in the case of a what happens in the case of a tool maker's microscope. So in the tool maker's microscope, what all we have? We have a supporting column. We'll be having a clamp screw. Okay. In this case, what we have a supporting column and a see This figure you can see. In this case, we will be having an eyepiece, like, in order to look the face. Then we have a focusing knob. What do you mean by focusing knob or clamping screw? What's that? Focusing knob is mainly used for focusing the object, which kept on the table for, which is kept on the table for viewing or for checking the dimensions. Okay, that's what. So eyepiece is there. Then we have a focusing knob. Then automatically for placing all this, we will be having a supporting column. Okay, so the supporting column will be vertically, sorry, they will be horizontally fixed on the vertical base. That's the base which should be strong enough so that it will be capable of handling all the loads and the weights which is becoming. Then we have a clamping screw, where we have a clamping screw where we clamp. Okay, clamping screw is used for the puff attachment. Then we have a surface illuminator in order to produce light, so that it will have a brief view, or in order to have a correct view or excellent view of the object has to be taken. Then we have a micrometer screw, where micrometer screw is used for what? It is mainly used for adjusting, okay, the longitudinal movement. It's mainly used for adjusting the longitudinal movement. That's what the micrometer screw is employed, which is mainly used for the adjusting the longitudinal movement. And then we have a also another micro screw, which is help for transverse movement. So there is two micrometer screw. One is for the longitudinal this one. Okay, this one is mainly, okay, what happens, this one is mainly for the longitudinal movement, and this one is mainly for the transverse movement. Okay, both are present almost very near to the base. Okay, which are mainly present. And we have a rotary circular table, okay, where we place everything. So that's the rotary circular table. So these are the main parts of a tool maker's microscope. Okay, so this happens. So this is what happens. And now, okay, and now what happens, finally we will just note it down the applications also, where we have the applications where the length measurement in Cartesian and polar coordinates, then angle measurement of tools, thread tool, punches, gauges, templates, etc. Then what happens? We have thread measurements, that is profile projector, major and minor diameter, then height of the lead screw, thread angle, profile position with respect to the thread axis, then shape of the thread, rounding, flatness, straightness of the flanks. Then also it is also related to the comparison between the center and the drawn patterns and drawing of the projected profile. So all these factors comes in the factor of the case of optical measurements. Okay, so these are the main factors. I'll just note it down. So this is what optical measurement instrument. The first one was the vertical optimeter. Just note down the names of it. Okay. First one was the vertical optimeter, and the second one was the horizontal optimeter, and then finally the third one was the tool maker's microscope. These are the three optical micrometers which are mainly employed in the case of our metrology. It is mainly used for the measurement and other technical aspects. Okay, in order for measuring the and the other technical aspects to an extent for the proper conditioning. Okay, so this is what happens. Okay, so here this is what happens. Okay, so we will stop the class for today since we have completed the topic of optical measurement techniques and optical measurement techniques. Okay, don't go anywhere. We have the attendance.